Hey everybody, welcome to the Ronline Report. Today's guest is a man I've known a while, but it's been a while since I talked to him. Definitely time to catch up because a lot of changes, a lot of cool things going on with this man. Jonathan Delarosa, IFBB Pro. How are you, John?
What's up, MD? I'm doing well. I'm doing pretty well.
In your
So
honor, I wore my MD Latino shirt.
there you
Courtesy Kit
go.
Sanderson. Thank you, Kit, for the hookup.
Yeah, Kit's the man.
You've been on the cover of that at least once, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah. As you should be, as you should
Yeah.
be.
Well, we'll
So,
see. I'm trying to make it on the cover of the MD here.
yeah, could happen. Stranger
Yeah,
things have happened.
yeah,
But,
yeah.
so the last time we actually talked for an interview has been a very long time. I can't even remember how long that's been.
It's probably about 2, 3 years ago. Yeah,
Yeah, wow, geez. I mean,
yeah,
I still see you at the shows and everything.
yeah. Of course.
Last time I saw you was Chicago last summer, which
Yeah.
was, let's say July or August, right?
It was July. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. But huge news is, you spent your whole life and you're what, 34, 35 now?
I'm 34.
34. So you spent all those years in New York,
hmm
tough place, cold weather, and
hmm
now you're down like all these other East Coast schmucks. You moved to Florida.
Yeah, I'm in sunny Florida now. Uh, it's been a good move, man. Actually, I love the weather. Well, I haven't really been in Florida long enough to say that I've experienced the humidity and all that stuff yet.
Right.
I'm sure it's on the way.
Yeah. Oh,
But
absolutely. It's
so
coming.
far, man, I I did not mind not having to get up and shovel. I will
Yeah.
say.
Okay. I would say that's the one thing we all hate is about the winters is
Uh,
getting rid of the snow. It's
yeah,
pretty to look at, but what a pain in the ass.
yeah. It leaves
So,
a mess all over the place.
so yeah, what led you to move all the way down there?
Well, a lot has happened in my life in the last year or so. A lot of people don't know, or maybe some do know. I'm no longer married. I went through a pretty tough divorce,
Hmm.
um, on my end, at least.
Yeah. It's
It was,
usually tougher on the guy's end,
yeah,
typically,
yeah.
typically.
It was pretty tough. More so because it was completely unexpected. It wasn't. There wasn't anything that I felt, or there was no signs that things were headed that in that direction.
Yeah.
So, to make a long story short, my life was upside down real quick. Um, about 3 or 4 days before heading to the Arnold, um, you know,
This year is Arnold?
no, last year,
Last year,
where I
okay.
competed at the Arnold last year.
Right.
That bomb was dropped on me about 3, 4 days before going to the Arnold. So, yeah, it was tough. I had commitments to the promoters and to my fans, of course, and the companies that sponsor me. So I ended up competing all the way. I did the Arnold, I did the Arnold Australia, I did the New York Pro, I did Toronto Pro, I did Chicago Pro.
Yeah.
Um, it was a long, hard year. Definitely the worst year in placings that I ever had.
Hmm.
Still did okay at the Arnold. I guess because the news was so fresh, I still ended up placing seventh.
Yeah.
But
That's pretty damn good, by the way. Seventh at the Arnold is no joke.
yeah, it wasn't a bad showing. I wish I could have done better, obviously, but with the circumstances, it was very difficult to keep stress under control. And progressively through the season, it got harder and harder to ignore what was going on in my home life,
Mm.
and harder and harder to control, stress levels and sleep and all the things that make us better. So it was kind of like fighting an uphill battle, but I needed to do it mentally for myself. I needed to keep myself busy and just not thinking about what was currently happening in my life. I mean, I literally went from living in my own home to living in my parents' basement.
Wow. Yeah.
For 8 months during my prep, I had to, it was just a complete shit show. I left my house with just the clothes that I had on my back.
Wow.
And then several months later, I went back and got the rest of my stuff. It was a really bad situation for me. So, not making excuses, it was my decision to continue competing. I could have pulled out and, my sponsors and everybody understood. I just needed to keep myself busy.
Yeah.
And once the season was done for me, which was Chicago Pro, I kind of looked at my life and figured, I needed to make a change. I didn't want to be around so many things that reminded me of, I still love my ex-wife very much. It was unfortunate what happened.
Yeah.
But I just couldn't be around that anymore for my mental health, and just to start to move on from what happened. And my career as a bodybuilder, I needed to just put it all behind me. And I said, you know what, I'm going to go to Florida. I don't know anybody in Florida. I don't have anybody here.
So I'm curious, why Florida? You could have gone to California. You could have gone anywhere you wanted.
Right. For business reasons, Florida's a no income tax state.
Oh, okay.
So it just made sense for future businesses. I also have been looking at opening a gym with a buddy of mine, Sean Covell. He's a pro bodybuilder as well. He owns several gyms out in California. So all of those things were being tossed around. I wasn't really sure what I was going to do. I just knew that I needed to get away from New York, and I figured Florida was, nice. It was sunny. It was cheaper than New York, so it wasn't too far away from my family. It's a quick 2-hour flight to New York. So
that must have been the hardest thing for you to leave behind. I know you're real close with your dad, and you must have other family members you see all the time.
Yeah, it was definitely, and still is, a very, very difficult thing on me. But I needed to, I just needed to get better for myself. I needed to not be around my family's. They're incredible. My family they're really amazing people. My mom and my dad took me in, at 33 years old, having to run back home, after losing everything. It sucks. But they took me in without any question. And then being there, I felt like I was being a burden. I'm now this 34-year-old guy living in your parents' basement. It sucks.
Not that that's like a rare thing these days, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, having established my own life, it was kind of very just detrimental waking up in a basement with all my shit thrown in a corner, So it kind of sucked. And I figured, you know what? I needed to get better for myself, so that way my family can start healing, my friends can start healing. Because what happened, within our circle of people who know what happened, it was really fucked up, and everybody was hurt by it. And if they saw me hurt, they also were hurt. So it was kind of like, it wasn't giving me space to heal, because I had to put on a front like, okay, yeah, I'm okay, but inside I really wasn't, Yeah. So, Florida so far has been a great move. I've what I've been telling Flex too. It's kind of like a.
Hold on, people don't realize this, because unless they follow your Instagram, which they should, IFBB Jon Delarosa. I didn't even know this. That's how freaking behind I was. I opened up your Instagram, and there's all these pictures and videos of you training at the Dragon's Lair with Flex Lewis.
Yeah.
I had no idea you were training with him. That is, how cool is that, dude?
It's amazing.
How long have you've known Flex for a long time, right?
Yeah. Me and Flex have known each other for years. We've been friends for a long time. And, it's funny, 2 or 3 years ago when I was planning on moving here with my ex-wife, Flex was helping me find a home. That never came to fruition. And then when I called him and I said, hey, I'm going to be moving down, I got back from my show in Dominican Republic, which was October 13th. And the very next week I was packing up my shit to move. And I was like, hey, I'm coming down to Florida. He was like, oh, we got to train. So, we hit it off pretty well. Flex is, he's obviously become a very good friend of mine. But, man, the guy's, he's got a heart of gold. He's a smart businessman. I've learned a ton from him. And, that's part of the reason why I think that this whole, he calls it Jon Delarosa version 2. That's what he calls it. But this whole kind of rebirth thing that's going on, where I'm just kind of shedding off all that old shit that I was holding on to. And, it's exciting because things are really starting to come together and come to life. And it's, I just can't wait to compete again,
How did you end up training with him? Because I'm sure everybody wants to train with Flex in that.
Well, Flex and I have been friends for a long time. So when he found out, when I told him, hey, I'm moving to Florida, he was like, immediately, hey, you got to come train with me. So, he doesn't have plans on competing right now, but he needed to stay motivated, and I'm getting ready for the New York Pro. So it just kind of worked out, and, we work really well off of one another. our energy is really good. We go into the gym and we're pretty close on most of our lifts as far as strength. So we push each other, we challenge each other. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, I want to say I trained with him, but the reality was I trained more like next to him because the stuff he was doing, I was like, no, I can't do that. He's crazy strong, as are you, obviously. But has it, was it different? I mean, you've been training very hard and very heavy for many years. Is it a different style of training that you've adopted since you started with him a few months ago?
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny because we've been doing a lot of different things that it's funny. We just went back to the basics. You start to go to the gym for too long, I think, and you kind of lose focus of, what brings in that detail, what really starts to carve out the tissue that you want. It's not always about, I had the mentality you always want to go in the gym and lift some weight and get bigger, and sometimes you got to take a step back and say, you know what, let's, focus on a little bit more conditioning and drawing out that muscle tissue that we need, all those lines that we need to be drawn out. And, like I said, it's funny. We're just going back to the basics and it's fucking working, which is pretty cool.
I've said this many times, I don't bullshit. I think you have crazy mass, awesome shape, awesome structure. I've always wanted to see deeper, cleaner separation, that muscle maturity, which obviously Flex is, that's how Flex beat people all those years. That's how Phil Heath beat people all those years. And I always said, if you had that, you wouldn't be taking second place at these shows. You wouldn't be taking fourth, fifth place. You'd be winning all these shows.
Yeah.
So are you starting to, the pictures, it looks to me, unless they're filtered and sharpened to shit, it looks like you're starting to get more of that quality now.
Yeah. My body's definitely changed over the last year. So the culmination of things happened this year. When I left, when I got off stage in Chicago, I was destroyed. Tad, who's a good friend of MD, you guys know him, Tad the diet coach.
Yeah, Tad, Inoue.
Yeah, he was there with me, and I bawled, I was crying, and I was just broken, and I figured, what, that was the last time that I would put myself through that, and I was going to focus on the divorce and how I was going to get through it, and it kind of just stepped away from bodybuilding. I was still in the gym, I was still training, but all the other aspects of bodybuilding kind of took a back seat. And I think it was probably one of the best things. I've always been an advocate of being healthy. But I think really taking a lot of time off and just focusing on my health and getting shit together at home. And it did a lot for me mentally, but also physically. So like I said, now things are starting to happen. Again, it's a culmination of things. It's not just that I was stepped away from bodybuilding and the supplements and all that stuff for 7 months. I think it's that I did that. I think it's that, the new training style. I think having Neil coach me and really be in tune with my body. He's there at the Dragon's Lair with Flex and I a lot. So he can see these things happening and makes adjustments on the fly. Just the whole experience has been amazing working with them.
Is he your coach?
Neil, Neil's my coach.
Okay, awesome. Yeah.
It just makes sense. I was lost when I got here. I knew I wanted to compete. I wanted to do, I was looking at doing the IFBB Pro and things were kind of unclear whether I should or shouldn't, and financially, and all this stuff was kind of swirling around, and I was trying to figure out who I was going to work with. And then it just made sense. Neil was there with me every day, taking a look at me, and it just clicks, so it's been a great experience thus far. And he's happy with where I'm at right now. And I'm ecstatic with where I'm at.
Yeah, I just got to back up because I'm doing some math here. If you did the Arnold and you competed in like 4 or 5 more shows all the way to Chicago, you were in prep from December of 2017 until August of 2018. So 9 months in prep, and most of that you were going through that other turmoil.
Yeah,
that's insane. I can't believe you didn't need like a full year away from everything.
Well, I wanted to, and that's kind of what happened with when Neil and I first got together. He was like, "Look, we need to. I don't want to run you through the mill again. We need to see where your health is at. We need to see where where mentally you're at." And we talked for a few weeks. He made some changes to my diet here and there, and my body was just responding, boom, boom. And he was like, I think we should just go for it. And we set a tentative date for the New York Pro. We're like, okay, well, let's just see what happens. And then my body just, I guess mentally, I kind of kicked it in gear, and then my body just started to follow. And every training session, I was getting better and better and better and fuller and rounder and harder. So, things are just coming together really, really well at this point.
Do you follow his Y3T style?
Yeah, at times when he actually trains me, because he's in the gym with us a lot. He trains his own clients as well. But when he's in the gym with us, he puts us through it. So it's tough.
Because I mean, the aspect that seems pretty appealing about it is that you cycle the loads, the intensities, and all that stuff,
Yeah.
the rep
Yep.
ranges. So
Yep.
you're not always beating up the joints, so you're not always training light or training heavy. It's
And-
really a good mix.
Yeah, and that's what I mean about like going back to the basics. I'm not talking about the basics, which is like deadlift, squats, and bench. I'm talking about doing like iso tension and stuff that like, we think is like, oh, that's pussy shit. I'm not going to do it. But it fucking works. I mean, man, we've been doing some stuff that like I'm seeing detail in places that I've not seen detail this far out. I mean, we're 8.5 weeks out from the New York Pro right now, and things are looking really, really good. So,
I mean, look at his star clients. The detail on flex, crazy.
Yeah.
Bonac,
Yeah.
carved out of granite.
yeah,
I'm curious to see what he does with Rami, because that's another guy.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
We've always knocked Rami for lacking all that, but I said, if anybody can change that guy's physique, it's Neil Hill.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
let's see.
Well, Rami, he's been out there with Rami working a lot and showing him again different training techniques. And the biggest thing I like about Neil is he's very in tune with his clients. And this is the greatest thing about him. He's in tune with all of his clients. Like, it's not just he pays attention to Rami. I mean, Rami's obviously a huge megastar and Bonac, but dude, he makes me like, he is so aware of what I'm doing. Sometimes to me, it's like, how the fuck did you remember that? But he remembers, and he wants to see all of his athletes do well. I mean, we connected on a much deeper level. It's not like, all right, just coach me. We had long talk about, how I grew up wanting to be a bodybuilder, and my dad, and how this is the culture that I've lived around and breathed since I was a young kid. So I'm living my dream. And I mean, I was literally in tears saying, I felt like, fuck, I've wasted so much time, and I don't want to waste any more time. I want to be my best. And he felt that. And again, the connection there and the drive to be my best, both, I think is just on another level.
So let's talk about New York Pro. First of all, was that the first pro show you ever went to, I'm guessing?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. New York.
How many times did you go to it before you actually competed in it?
Ooh, bunch of times.
Yeah.
Yeah, a bunch of times. I don't remember how many, but a bunch.
Let's look at your track. You've done this show 6 times as far as I can tell.
Yeah.
Look at this progression. 2012, 5th place. 2013, 4th place.
Yeah.
2014, 3rd place. That's pretty damn. That's like Rami, how he just kept going boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
A little blip there. 2016 down to 8th, but then 2017, 2nd place.
Yeah.
And 2018 last year, 5th place. So you've done very well at the show, but I'm thinking you picked the show because this is a show probably more so, maybe the Olympia, obviously you'd rather win that than anything else, but I'm guessing New York Pro is the one show you would really love to win.
Yeah, this is like any New York guy will tell you, me and Juan and Vic and Keem, all of us, that's our mini Olympia. Having that title, given to us by Steve is it's a huge honor. Steve has seen me grow up in the sport too since I was 17, 18 years old, and he's always offered his guidance and support and wanted to see me do my best. So, walking away with that title would mean a lot to me. It's coming back home and being able to compete in front of my family and friends again and at my absolute best. It's gonna be a great night.
Now, you could comment on this probably better than most people. 2nd place is sometimes the toughest place to take. Well, obviously winning is great, but 2nd place, like I remember those 2 back-to-back shows in 2017 where Sergio won New York Pro and nobody knew which way it was going to go until they announced it.
Yeah.
A week later, we're in Toronto. You and Johnny up there, and like, I don't know what they're going to do. Johnny took it like, oh, damn it.
Yeah.
Give him this one.
Yeah.
You won the Chicago Pro in 2015, but you've had a lot. Second place 2014 Orlando show,
Yeah.
2015 Vancouver,
Yeah.
2017 New York, and 2017 Toronto.
Yeah.
I mean,
So,
psychologically, is it?
yeah.
I've taken it in amateur shows and stuff. It's rough because you're so close. I mean,
Yeah. It's
how do you regroup after that? I mean, it's got to be tough.
last year was probably the hardest of any. So it's easy when you walk away knowing, okay, fuck, I did everything I could,
Yeah.
and I just need more time. I need to get better. I need more muscle maturity, whatever it is. You can look as a bodybuilder. I have never been 100% satisfied, and I don't think any bodybuilder has ever been 100% satisfied with what they brought to the stage, right? We always can look back and say, fuck, I could have been a little bit harder here or had more detail there or whatever it is. And, so that's how I look at it. Losing to Sergio in 2017 was really, really hard because I felt like this was my best package. And Sergio looked fucking great. Again, it could have went either way. And he bested me that day, which is, what the judges felt, and you got hats off to him. He bought it. And then in Toronto, I lost to Johnny, and fuck, I mean, Johnny's an amazing competitor too. I mean, the muscle that dude carries is insane. So, if I had competed at both those shows and I placed second and I didn't really do everything that I could, then it's like, fuck, I should have did more. But I can hang my head and say, you know what? I did everything I could. The hardest thing, again, was last year because I knew going into these shows, I was just kind of going through the motions, and that was disappointing for me, because nobody else knew that, I mean, it showed on stage, obviously, but it was disappointing because now looking back, it's like, fuck, why did I do that? I should have just stopped, dealt with it, and came back better. But instead, I was like beating my head against the wall, like, almost like not letting myself give up. I didn't want to give up, and that can be your worst enemy sometimes. So,
like you said, you were also doing it for the fans. You didn't want to let them down. You didn't want to let your sponsor down.
Right.
And I give you a lot of credit because in that situation, most people, I know I would have backed out of all those shows. I'd be like, fuck this. I don't feel like it.
Yeah.
And I remember being in Chicago, and I knew what was going on.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't believe this guy's still doing these shows. I mean,
I
was like, I didn't know what to say. I never know what to say to anybody in situations like that. So I was kind of avoiding you.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm like, I was like, I know that the pain this guy must be in. I can't believe he's still prepping. He's still eating his freaking chicken and broccoli, doing his step mill at 5 a.m. Yeah. Unbelievable. This guy's a machine.
Well, the thing is that saved me, again, from kind of spiraling into this rabbit hole of trying to figure out what I did wrong, and the truth is I didn't do anything wrong. It's not like, we're just two people sometimes, grow apart, and that's what it is.
I mean,
so
the divorce rate in the U.S. now is like almost 70%. So
I know it's insane.
Yeah,
I mean, I will say I never got married to get divorced.
No, I don't.
I think
the only people that do that are some crafty women, marrying like a billionaire or something.
Yeah.
Everyone goes into it with the best of intentions, and you want everything to work, but this is human emotions, human nature, life, and shit happens. But let's leave it at that.
Yeah.
Just prep. I mean, you're looking great. Are there major changes in this prep compared to what you've done before, as far as the cardio, the diet, anything that's really, really different?
It's just, so in the words of Neil, I've been eating like a bikini bitch the whole time.
So it's like 1,200 calories a day?
Well, yeah, I mean, so the last 2 years I kind of prepped myself, and, I'm the kind of guy who will I've always been that kind of person. I will do more. I'll do more cardio. I'll train more. I'll diet harder. And, when I was getting to these shows, I was having barely any food. So it was hard to maintain that fullness and hardness. And it was kind of like a constant yo-yo. And when he looked back at my stuff, he was like, man, you were barely eating, So, I was scared at first when he gave me my diet. I was kind of like, dude, this is a lot of food. And, shit, my body's responding, and it looks better than it's ever have. I mean, I feel great. I'm healthy, thank God, and just training has been awesome with Flex. You know, we've been pushing each other and just I'm growing into it. And, you know, again, I was kind of quote unquote off of everything for 7 months.
Yeah.
And then,
which is really a great thing because, you know, in the scheme of things, you come back and the body's so much more fresh and receptive and ready.
Yeah, my blood work came back and I was clean as a whistle. So, it's, you know, I was happy with that. I just felt like going into it at first, I was like, fuck, I gave up so much time, you know, progression. Yeah. But, you know, Neil made a good point too. It's like, I don't really need to, it's not like I'm missing any major body parts, you know, I just need to maintain what I had and get sharper. So he's like, forget about putting on any more muscle. Just let's focus on getting you as hard and ripped as you can.
Yeah. I felt you had all the muscle you needed like 4 or 5 years ago, honestly.
Yeah.
Detail, like Rami. Rami does not need 1 ounce of muscle.
No, he's done. He's done. He doesn't need any more.
Now, I talked to Victor about the experience because you and Victor co-promoted the IFBB Dominican coat of arms last fall in Dominican Republic.
Yeah.
Punta Cana. It must have been quite an experience. Had you promoted like an NPC show in the U.S. before that?
We promoted Victor's show, the Victor Martinez Legends. We also have another show coming up on May 12th in Dominican Republic as well. It's called the Victor Martinez Jon Delarosa Legends in Santo Domingo. But yeah, that show was a great experience. We're trying to continue to grow the brand. You know, Victor has his show in the Bronx. We have the 2 shows in Dominican Republic. We plan on adding another one next year. You know, we're just trying to bring opportunity to people out on the island who may maybe not have had that opportunity. And when the MPC now is going global, you know, the island, everybody, all the athletes on the island were excited because I don't want to mention names, but it was just a very corrupt organization over there before.
Well, it's the other pro organization.
Yes.
They have a foothold in a lot of these countries, and they're known in many countries for using the scare tactics of trying to intimidate the athletes and saying, you know, you'll never be able to turn pro if you do that show. And they want to punish these people.
Yeah.
Whereas, you know, you could do your show, and then you don't care if they do their show. It's not you're not gonna punish anybody.
No.
But that was the first time. Victor thinks it's gonna be a lot easier next time.
Yeah. Yeah. So we were fighting an uphill battle the whole time. I mean, last year was a really busy year for me. Me and Victor were, aside from traveling for the sport of bodybuilding and our sponsors and, you know, whatever, making appearances here and there, we were also traveling back and forth to the Dominican Republic like every 6 weeks to promote the show. We were all over the island. We were in Santo Domingo all the way to Punta Cana and back. And it was just visiting gyms and trying to get people to understand, like, hey, you know what? You don't have to be scared anymore. You can come compete. We're not going to hold any grudges. You can come watch if you're skeptical, whatever it is. Just come, hang out, be a part of the experience. And, you know, I think everybody that showed up, we made such a splash. You know, look, it wasn't successful financially, Victor. We put a ton of money into it, and no business venture ever is when you're first going into it. The first year or 2 years, you're lucky if you're breaking even. But we knew that going in. And the experience that these athletes had, we're both competitors. So we knew what we wanted to bring to the table, and I think we did a great job. All the athletes on the island, man, they were so grateful, for the food, for the drinks, for the stage setup, everything. And we're looking forward to doing it again, man. It was a really great experience, from the competition to all the sponsors and the vendors, and everybody had a really great time till the pool party the day after, which was turned into a crazy time. Yeah, it was pretty nuts, man. It was a lot of fun.
Hard Rock Hotel? Is that where you
It was a hotel in Punta Cana, yeah.
How cool was that?
Man, it was great. And shout out to Hard Rock and Punta Cana. Those guys really allowed us to do our thing, from stage setup to music to, they were very accommodating, and they're looking forward to having us back as well. So, anybody over there is watching, thank you guys.
Yeah, because Victor said the other guys were trying to portray you guys as you and him as outsiders, even though Victor was born there. And, but clearly, I think it's going to be a different story, because they saw the treatment that you gave the athletes and everything that the fans, the whole experience. You guys went out of your way to give them a first-class show.
Yeah.
First time a pro show's ever been down there. I mean, who would think
Yeah.
to put a pro show in Punta Cana?
Yeah. I mean, so the idea was we wanted to have everything absolutely catered to these athletes, right? Whether you were coming from abroad or right on the island. When you checked into the Hard Rock Hotel, you had your food. I mean, we had a chef on staff who was preparing food all day, from your grilled chicken to your, tilapia to your rice. And it was all bodybuilding food, bodybuilding friendly food that we had for all the athletes. So, they didn't even have to bring their own food. They could go down to the restaurant, get their food, and head back upstairs. And it was all taken care of. It was part of the all-inclusive package. So from that to having, the goodies backstage to, a professional stage setup, right? These guys are throwing on these shows at some rinkety-dink school with terrible lighting and terrible, it's just, so, everything from beginning to end for them was like, wow, look at all this stuff that they did for us. And, the icing on the cake was, seeing everybody all smiles at the pool party, man. Everybody had such a great time, it was really cool.
Gotta weasel my way down there somehow. Do it, damn it.
We got to get you special coverage for MD.
Exactly. But let's talk about your sponsor. How did you get with Betancourt Nutrition? When did that happen?
So a really good friend of mine who was actually my boss as well. His name is Joaquin. Joaquin Cruz. He was working with me back at MHP. And I'm very, very proud to say that I'm not one of these guys that bounces around from company to company. And I've had opportunity to make really good money, and I've had opportunity to make, more appearances and travel more. But Betancourt has been a company that's stuck by my side. And to me, that has meant more to me than, bouncing around from company to company. So this is the second company I've been with. I've been a pro for, 2000, so 9 years, something like that, right? So
when did you win? 2011?
11. Yeah, 11. So 8 years.
Yeah.
And this is my second company. I've been with them for 4 years now. It's been a really, really, they're really awesome, man. I'm very grateful to have them by my side.
Shout out to Jose Gonzalez.
Jose Gonzalez, yeah.
He's my connection over there. I love Jose. Cool dude.
Yeah, he's a great dude. That's the thing, everybody at Betancourt is just really, really good, down to earth people. They're really, really good. Look, they had every opportunity last year to say, Don, you're not doing well. I didn't travel much for them because of the circumstances at home. Yeah. They had every opportunity to say, Don, we can't pay you anymore. Sorry. But they were very understanding of the situation, and they're rooting for me to go to New York and fucking smash it more than anybody else. These guys. It's funny that one of the guys, Dustin, who's the formulator of products. This is just last night. He makes a lot of our products. His name is Dustin. He texted me last night. I could show you this. He's like, "Hey, dude, have you ever thought about carbing up on purple yams?" I'm like, "Purple yams? No, what do you mean?" He's like, you should talk to your coach about it. He goes, "I figured I was looking at your older shows. You have more muscle, which creates more muscle volume as water. You gain a lot of muscle since then. You need to deal with it in a better way. You need a higher." Well, anyways, but this was just last night. I mean, the guy is like, so look, I don't know if you guys can see that.
Yeah. I didn't even realize. So he knows the difference between purple yams and regular yams. Yeah,
so again, he formulates the product, so he knows the scientific approach to these things, and he said that purple yams contain an ingredient that allows you to pull more of that carbohydrate into the muscle tissue and secrete the water from sub-Q.
So it allows. Put this info out there now. Everybody's gonna know.
That's all right. Hey, if I win, I want to win because I deserve to win. I want to be the best on stage. That's it.
Cool. Yeah. What would you say is if you could only pick one product of theirs, what's your favorite?
The L-carnitine Plus.
Okay.
That stuff, man. I take it in the morning. I tell everybody this product. I mean, all of their products are really good. I love the B-Nox. They have a new product called B-Nox Rip because I kept complaining to them for years. I was like, dude, I cannot take this pre-workout. It's got carbs in it. It's got like 10 grams of carbs in it. The old B-Nox. This one, they made B-Nox Rip that it's diet friendly. So I can have it during my prep. But the L-carnitine plus, dude, it makes you sweat so much. So when I take my coffee in the morning, I take a scoop of that, and I get on the treadmill or the bike 15 minutes later, and 10 minutes after I'm started, I'm like drenched in sweat. It's amazing product. That's one of Dustin's babies too.
Dustin changed the whole product basically for you.
Well, yeah, and that's the really cool thing about Betancourt too, man. They allow me into the research and development part of this, and formulating products. They ask me all the time, like, hey John, what do you think about this? I've been a part of, there's a lot of stuff coming to the table in a few months that I was about to spill the beans on, but there's a lot of stuff coming that I can't wait to, show the world. I feel like I've been a part of it too, because I sat in on these meetings and, gave my opinion and talked about certain things coming out to the market that we're excited to bring to the market too, that, it's like, I wouldn't have that kind of connection or that kind of business relationship at any other company, right? Betancourt's not the biggest company in the world. To me, it's the greatest company, but they're not like a Glanbia who owns Optimum and BSN and, you know what I mean? Yeah. But fuck, man, Betancourt is like, I know everybody, they're great, and everybody is truly interested in making this brand one of the best brands in the world, which is awesome, and they're 110% behind me, which is fucking really cool,
Yeah. I mean, wouldn't you rather be in that situation than some mega company that the top people don't even know who you are? They've never heard of you.
Yeah, these suit and tie guys, they just kind of like, oh, who's that guy, Everybody at Betancourt knows me, and the two girls that are always with me when we travel, their names are Clarissa and Dulce. They're like my work wives. They make sure I eat on time. Yeah, Dulce. They make sure I eat on time. They make sure I go train. Everything that needs to get done. They're like, when we were in Colombia about a month ago, Dulce made sure that, the distributor that we were going out for had all my food prepped, 6-7 meals a day. He was bringing it to the booth. Yeah, these girls are great. Like I said, the company
sounds better than a wife. Sorry.
Yeah, well,
I had to throw that out there.
Well, that's why I say they're my work wives. They're fucking amazing, man. I love them.
Wow, cool. So you're 8.5 weeks out.
Yeah.
I've never seen you look this good on social media pics, and you don't go crazy with the filters like I do, so I can see that that's what you really look like.
Yeah.
So I think you're in a really, really good spot. I'm very excited. Is that the only show you're planning on, or are you, obviously Toronto's only a couple weeks later, would you jump in that again?
So yeah, I'm looking at the Puerto Rico Pro, which is a week after, and then Toronto, which is a week after that.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I'd like to go get my 3-peat and shut it down and go to the Olympia.
I know this is a ridiculous question, the body weight thing, but roughly, what might you weigh at these shows?
So last year at the New York Pro was 250 pounds, which is way too big, it was
like 5'6.5" on a good day?
5'6", yeah.
That's
5'6".
a massive human being. 5'6", 250 on stage.
Oh, it wasn't my best look out. I was holding a ton of water. I was in really good shape for that show, around 245 pounds. So I'm looking to be somewhere around, 240 to 242, 243 again, just a lot harder, more quality muscle, So.
Do you remember all the knuckleheads would say, Delarosa should drop down to 212?
Yeah.
Do you know what he weighs?
I still tell people, like, I wish that I could. It would be a lot fucking easier for me, if I could actually make that weight. It's just, even Flex says, he's like, fuck, man, you're so thick and dense. It's like, you never be able to make it, It's funny, like, Flex is like hovering around the high 230s right now, and he's a little shit brick fucking tank,
Absolutely.
And I'm 260 pounds. You there?
Yeah. He's a little monster. I see that guy. I see an Mr. Olympia win in his future. Honest to God, I do. Oh, did I lose you? Can you hear me?
Hello?
Can you hear me now? No? How about now? Can you hear me?
Yep, you're there.
Okay, good.
Gotcha, yeah.
No editing required.
Yeah. So yeah, he's like 238 pounds, 237 pounds, and fuck, he's like a little tank, and I'm still 20 pounds heavier than him.
Yeah. So it's all an illusion. He's got joints like a bird.
Yeah. He's it's funny. He looks at my joints, he's like, just a bigger human being. That's it.
Yeah, you remind me kind of. You're not like Jose. Jose's got wrists like friggin' like a strongman competitor, but you're also built similar to that way as far as you look at it. You were meant to move a ton of weight.
Yeah.
I don't know how he does it without everything snapping.
I know.
But, okay. So yeah, definitely those 3 shows in a row. I mean, I'll be at 2 of those, so I'm glad. I hope to see you win 2 out of those 3 anyway.
Yeah,
To be
yeah.
there in person to see it, because I didn't get to see you win that Chicago. I wasn't there that year.
Ah, man, that was such a great win too. And that's the heartbreaking thing for me, right? I feel like a lot of people say, John, you're still young. You still have so much time. Look at Kai and look at, Sean Roden. But then I look at Phil Heath. Phil Heath was fucking crushing it when he was in his 30s, early 30s, late mid 30s. And that's, it's not that, look, genetics play a huge part in this sport. But I just feel like I've let myself down by letting other distractions slow me down. You know what I mean? And it's part of the game. You have to be. I've learned from it. And unfortunately, I think a lot of the things that have happened this past year has made me a little bit more selfish, which could be a good thing for bodybuilding. But I was very, very. And you could ask any one of my friends that were around. I love to make people happy, and I love to make my wife happy. And there were fucking days that my wife had a photo shoot a day before the show for my competition, and I was out helping her around. And I remember getting calls from Juan Morel, and he was like, "What the fuck are you doing? You should be in your bed, carbing up, relaxing, and you're lugging around luggage." And but that things like that. Now looking back, it's like, fuck, I should have been more aware of what I needed to do for me. But lesson learned, and now it's, I'm single and living in Florida and just doing my thing. And this is like a mini Kuwait. This is what I was saying earlier. Yeah, man, it really is. It's like.
You went to Kuwait. You actually were there, right?
Yeah, I went there for 2 months.
Okay. So when you say mini Kuwait, you actually have a perspective.
Yeah. So, when I got here, it's so funny. My friend and boss, Joaquin, he goes, "Hey, I'll come and meet you over at the house and help you unpack." So I pull up to the driveway of the house, and he's waiting for me, and I open the trunk. He goes, "That's it? It was just my clothes." I was like, "Yeah, bro, that's it." So we carried my shit in. I mean, I'm just still furnishing the house, but it's like Kuwait, dude. I'm literally here alone. I don't know anybody. The only person I know is Flex. I do have family in Florida, but if you know Florida, Florida's a very large state, and they're 4 hours away in Ocala.
Okay.
So I don't have I'm not going to drive up there to, but I'm here on my own, and all I'm doing is eat, sleep, and train. Eat, sleep, and train. I'm taking care of my clients online, which is easy enough to do from home. Yeah. And that's it. This is my Olympia. This is going to be the best version of myself that I could bring to the stage.
Yeah.
And I'm really, really confident that I can, finally fulfill what I feel I should have been bringing to the stage for a long time.
Yeah, I'm excited. This is like a whole story. This is like a movie.
Yeah,
You can't write this shit. This is.
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
I'm glad
you win, because that's like the end of the movies. He's up there with the hands raised, and the music goes crazy.
I literally, and I'll sound like a bitch. I don't care. I mean, everybody knows I'm an emotional sucker anyways, but I literally get in tears when I think about it, because it's been such a hard road. It's, I dream about it, 3 or 4 times a week when I get up in the morning. This is all I want. This is all I need in my life right now. It's everything that is, important to me and what I'm working for. But, it's just so important for me to fulfill what I feel like I should have been doing for a long time, for myself, for my dad, for my family, for my fans, and, my business relationships within bodybuilding. So yeah, man, I get emotional just thinking about it. It's something that I want so fucking bad. Again, not to keep harping on it, but I grew up, my dad didn't watch baseball or basketball or football. Bodybuilding was it. We read, I remember growing up, he would come home with the magazine, and I would flip through it and look at Paul Dillette and Lee Priest, and I was like, wow. I mean, I had pictures of Paul and Dorian and Kevin and posters in my room. Remember those tear out posters that they used to?
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
I had them all over my room, man. This is my dream. I'm living my dream, and I feel like I have not fulfilled my potential in that dream. Look, I'm not saying I'm Mr. Olympia, and I'm gonna fucking work my ass off to to hopefully become one day.
Yeah.
That's the goal, right? But I feel I should have had a lot better time out and career at this point. And it's time to kind of redeem myself. This isn't for anybody else. This is just for me. So.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. For years, I always thought Jon could be better than this. Jon should be doing better than this. He should be winning these shows. He should be, because I see the physique, I see the work ethic, the mental strength, the humility, the integrity, all that stuff. I wanted to see you up here.
Yeah, that was the hardest part.
It bothered me to see you not being up there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, shit, I feel the same way. The hardest part is like I said, it's not like, regardless of what people think, sometimes bodybuilding is like, you can be doing everything 110%. You could ask any coach that I've worked with. I am not the client that you need to worry about that's cheating on their diet. I'm not the client that you need to worry about that's not doing their cardio. If anything, I'm the client that Jon is sticking to his plan 100%, if not doing more. He's probably doing more cardio, eating, less carbs because he wants to get in shape faster. Whatever it is, like Neil has to stay on top of me. He'll call me and be like, Jeff, make sure that you eat all the carbs. You're having a high carb day today, so make sure you eat all of your food. I'm like, all right, fine. I'm the guy that's going to push to be better. Sometimes, like I said earlier, it goes in the wrong direction. So it's not like I've been on stage and been not my best because of lack of effort. Right. I've always given 110%. For whatever reason, I haven't been able to nail it. A week before the show, I'll look great. A week after the show, I'll look great. And it's like, fuck, why couldn't I just bring this, Yeah. Again, it's all, timing and part of the process, and I feel like I'm just in the right place, right time, and it's all coming together, and it's just going to be a really, really good year. And finally, after five years, get back to the Olympia.
Yeah. All right. Well, I can't say anything better than that. You put it best. So that's it. Everybody, Jonathan, you can check him out first at the New York Pro. If you're in Puerto Rico, you'll see him at the Puerto Rico Pro. And all my fine Canadian friends, Toronto Pro, right after that.
Oh, yeah.
Follow him on IFBB Jon Delarosa on Instagram. See him training with the great Flex Lewis. I almost said Flex Wheeler. Flex Lewis. And I'm very, very happy. I think you're in a great spot now. And I'm excited to see how this all turns out for you.
Thank you. Another quick thing, just thanks to Flex and for Neil for bringing me in and making me feel at home and, just being an incredible inspiration to me. Walking into that gym every day and just seeing Flex's drive and seeing Neil and how invested he is in this with me, it's just been an awesome experience. So shout out to those two guys, man. You guys have been awesome.
The Welshman.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. All right, cool. Thank you so much, Jonathan, for taking the time.
Guys.
It's been too long. I'm glad we finally caught up. And I'll be seeing you around, it looks like, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, everybody, thanks for watching Ronline Report with Jonathan Delarosa.
Take it easy.